Free college football picks, week 11, part 5. I'm Tony here with our college football pick show here for Friday's action. Well, we have all the 3 games for you for Friday, then 8 more for Saturday. So we're going to get these done in 6 parts. This is part 5, so 11 today, then 10 tomorrow. That we'll get through all 64 games for you. Before we get underway, just a couple of things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free college football picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NFL, NBA, college basketball, NHL, European football, and more. It is a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, like this video, give us the thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com, our multi-capper site showcasing our top cappers in our industry. Click the link to the hot cappers, get signed up to long-term passes. You'll see our hot cappers like Ramon, who's been on fire here. Tiffany's been hot. I've been hot here in NFL, college football. So click the links, get signed up. You'll find here our premium picks here on the center of our page, as well as our best bets and our $15 pick, our promotional picks there. Some of them want to make good, some of them will be best bets. So check them out there. And our 3 packs, which are very, very good value there. And of course, our pick ticker, where you can buy picks individually a la carte. And our promo code, save 20% off all premium pick packages when you use the promo code TonyT at checkout. Access our page by clicking the link in the description, then the All Cappers tab to get signed up. And of course, want to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments below. You can apply for our site at Tony'sPicks.com footer section. And our podcast is Tony's Picks. Every pick in podcast form, available on all major platforms. Let's get this one started. East Carolina versus Cincinnati, college football pick. This one goes off here on Friday. East Carolina improves to 6-3 with their 27-24 road win at BYU as they hit their bye week. The Pirates gained 424 yards with 227 rushing on 36 carries. Defensively, ECU did allow nearly 6 yards per rush with 144 passing on 25 attempts. Holton Ahlers completed 68% of his passes with 9 yards per pass attempt. On the year, Ahlers' career high here, 70% completion rate, 8.3 yards per attempt. He's passed for 18 touchdowns and 5 picks. Cincinnati improved to 7-2 with their 20-10 home win to Navy. Bearcats posted 354 yards here, 55 rushing on 20 attempts. On defense, Cincinnati held the midshipmen to nearly 3.5 yards per rush, 84 passing on 6 attempts. Ben Bryant completed 71% of his passes in the game, 8.5 yards per attempt. He passed for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the campaign, Bryant, 63% completion rate, 7.8 yards per attempt. On the road, the Pirates are moving the football for 472 yards, 5.3 yards per rush, 317 passing yards, 8.3 yards per attempt. Past 2 games, Bearcats offense held to 21 points to UCF in a loss, 20 last week to Navy. Short week for Cincinnati and a bye week for the Pirates. Play here, East Carolina plus 5.5. Colorado versus USC, college of football pick for Friday. Colorado fell to 1-8 with their 49-10 home defeat to Oregon. Buffs gained 367 yards with 120 rushing on 36 attempts. Defensively, they surrendered 5 yards per attempt with 284 passing on 27 attempts. JT Shroud completed 50% with 7.3 yards per attempt, and in the loss, he threw for 247 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. This season, Shroud 44% completion rate, 6 yards per attempt. USC improved to 8-1 with their 41-35 home victory to California. Trojans gained 515 yards, 155 rushing on 28 attempts. On defense, they limited Cal's running game to under 3 yards a carry, but gave up 406 yards passing on 49 attempts. Caleb Williams, 63% completion rate on the Golden Bears with 8.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns. This season, Williams, 64% completion rate, 28 touchdowns, 1 interception, 8.7 yards per attempt. The Buffs on the road averaging only 256 yards, 133 passing with 40% completion rate, and they're allowing 533 yards. You know, the Colorado is not good enough. Their pass attacking is not good enough here to exploit this USC defense. Play here will be USC at minus 34. Fresno State versus UNLV college football pick. This one goes off on Friday. Fresno State 5-4 after their 55-13 home win to Hawaii. Bulldogs gained a season-high 572 yards, 245 rushing on 39 carries. On defense, Fresno State allowed nearly 5 yards per rush with 204 passing on 40 attempts. Jake Haener completed 83% with a season-high 11 yards per attempt. Haener threw for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns. UNLV, they fell to 4-5 after their 14-10 road defeat to San Diego State. 4 straight losses for the Rebels as the team is really struggling to score points. They posted 325 yards, 118 rushing on 34 carries. Defensively, UNLV held the Aztecs to just over 2 yards per rush with 216 passing on 31 attempts. Doug Brumfield completed 63% of his passes, 7.7 yards per attempt in defeat. He passed for 201 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Season-wide, Brumfield, 67% completion rate, 7.9 yards per attempt. Past 3 Mountain West games, UNLV averaging only 267 yards and 13 points a game. Bulldogs defense has been good in this period. Pass protection and third down conversions really poor for the Rebels over this 3-game period. The play here will be Fresno State and UNLV under 60.5 points. South Carolina versus Florida, college football pick Saturday. South Carolina, they improved to 6-3 with that 38-27 road win at Vanderbilt. Gamecocks posted 492 yards, 208 rushing on 35 carries. Defensively, they allowed 5.5 yards per carry to the Commodores with 228 passing on 33 attempts. Spencer Rattler, 69% completion rate, 8.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. This season, Rattler, 64% completions, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 7.4 yards per attempt. Florida improved to 5-4. After that 41-24 road win at Texas A&M, Gators produced 492 yards in this one, 291 rushing on 50 carries. On defense, Florida allowed only 5 yards a carry to the Aggies with 279 yards passing on 45 attempts. Anthony Richardson completed 61% in the victory, 7.2 yards per attempt. This season, Richardson, 56% completion rate, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 7.8 yards per attempt. Back-to-back road games for the Gamecocks. Gators at home rushing for 7.1 yards a carry. South Carolina on the road allowing 216 rushing yards and 4.6 yards per rush. Play here will be Florida -8. Texas State versus South Alabama, college football pick Saturdays. Texas State fell to 3-6 with a 31-30 road defeat at UL Monroe. The Bobcats posted 367 yards, 130 rushing on 32 attempts. Defensively, they held the Warhawks to just over 2 yards per carry, 313 passing on 41 attempts. Lane Hatcher, he completed a season-high 71%, 5.8 yards per attempt. He did pass for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns on the season. Hatcher, a 64% completion rate. Career low, 6.5 yards per attempt. Now South Alabama, 7-2 after their 38-31 road win at Georgia Southern. Jaguars produced a season high here, 514 yards, 321 rushing on 56 attempts. Defensively, they allowed 5 yards a carry to the Eagles with 278 passing yards on 45 attempts. Carter Bradley, they completed 59% in the win, 7.1 yards per attempt. On the season, Bradley, a completion rate of 65%, 7.9 yards per attempt. Past 3 games, Jaguars holding teams to 263 yards, only 2.5 yards per rush. Bobcats in this period running for only 2.6 yards to carry. The play here will be Texas State and South Alabama under 46.5. Kansas State versus Baylor, college football pick Saturday. Kansas State fell to 6-3 after their 34-27 home defeat to Texas Longhorns. Wildcats gained 468 yards in this one with 139 rushing on 35 attempts. Defensively, Hayes Jude surrendered 6.5 yards per rush to the Longhorns, 197 passing on 31 attempts. Edwin Martinez completed 67% of his passes in defeat with 9.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 329 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Martinez on the year, 63% completion rate, 7 yards per attempt. He has rushed 106 times for 5.8 yards a carry. Baylor 6-3. It was a 38-35 road win in Oklahoma. Bears posted 413 yards. They ran it for 281 yards on 48 attempts. Defensively, the Bears allowed over 5 yards a carry to the Sooners with 261 yards passing and 39 attempts. Blake Shapen, 61% completions, 5.7 yards per attempt. He had 1 touchdown and a pick. This season, Shapen has completed 67% of his passes for 8.1 yards per attempt. The play will be on Kansas State. Past 3 games, I should say. Kansas State is moving the football for 451 yards. The Bears 431. Martinez running ability, really tough for opposing defenses. Wildcats defense on the road, giving up 440 yards with 269 passing and 7.8 yards per attempt. The player will be Kansas State and Baylor to go over 52. Wyoming and Colorado State college football pick Saturday. Wyoming improved to 6-3. It was a 27-20 road win in Hawaii as they hit the bye. Cowboys posted 441 yards, 365 rushing on 44 attempts. Defensively, they did give up 5 yards per rush to the Warriors with 205 passing yards on 46 attempts. Andrew Peasley, he completed just 47% of his passes in the win, 5.7 yards per attempt. He passed for 76 yards and 2 interceptions. On the season, Peasley a 53% completion rate with 6 yards per attempt. Colorado, they dropped to 2-7 after a 28-16 road defeat to San Jose State. Rams gained 468 yards in this one, 135 rushing on 36 attempts. Defensively, the Rams held the Spartans to under 4 yards a carry with 274 passing yards on 42 attempts. Clay Millen completed 62% of his passes in the loss with a season-high 10.9 yards per attempt. He passed for 269 yards and 1 interception. This year, Millen, a 70% completion rate, 7.9 yards per attempt. If the Cowboys couldn't separate enough against Hawaii to cover, Peasley's lack of accuracy is the issue. The play will be Colorado State plus 9.5. FAU versus FIU college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. FAU 4-5 with their 24-17 home win to UAB. Alice posted 359 yards, 172 rushing on 35 attempts. On defense, FAU surrendered nearly 7 yards a carry to the Blazers with 192 passing on 34 attempts. N'Kosi Perry completed 56% of his passes, 7.9 yards per attempt. Perry threw for 3 touchdowns for 197 yards on the season. Perry a 56% completion rate, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, 7.3 yards per attempt. FAU dropped to 10-4 after their 52-45 road defeat at North Texas. Golden Panthers here in this game had 258 yards, 113 rushing on 25 carries. Defensively, they did give up nearly 5 yards a carry, 414 passing on 35 attempts. Grayson James, 54% completion rate, and he also had in this game, in the loss, a low 3.7 yards per attempt. James threw for 130 yards and 2 interceptions. Now, on the season, James, 61% completion rate, 5.9 yards per attempt. FIU defense is really struggling over the past 3 games here, giving up 467 yards, 7.3 yards per attempt. FAU in this period allowing 5.5 yards a carry on the ground. The play will be FAU and FIU under 54.5. Kansas versus Texas Tech college football pick Saturday. Kansas improved here to 6-3 after their 37-16 home win to Oklahoma State. Jayhawks gained 554 yards, 351 rushing on 46 attempts. Defensively, they limited the Cowboys to 3 yards a carry with 304 passing yards on 40 attempts. Jalen Daniels has been practicing with the backups, so this definitely points to a being start. Jason B completed 78% of his passes in the win with 8.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. This season being a 66% completion rate, 9.6 yards per attempt. Now Texas Tech, they're 4-5 after that 43-24 road defeat at TCU. Red Raiders gained 340 yards in this one, 189 rushing on 39 carries. Defensively, Texas Tech allowed nearly 5 yards per rush, 195 passing, 23 attempts. Now Tyler Shaw completed 41% of his passes in defeat, 3.5 yards here per attempt. On the year, Slough, a 47% completion rate, 7 yards per attempt. Past 3 games, Jayhawks are running for 506 yards per attempt. Prefer being over Shaw here at the quarterback. The player will be on Kansas minus 3.5. Georgia versus Mississippi State college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. Georgia improved to 9-0 with their 27-13 home win to Tennessee. Bulldogs gained 387 yards in this one, 130 rushing on 37 attempts. Defensively, they allowed just over 2 yards per carry, 195 passing on 33 attempts. Detson Bennett completed 68% of his passes in the win, 10.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 257 yards, 2 touchdowns on the campaign. Bennett, a 68% completion rate. 8.9 yards per attempt. The player will be Mississippi State here at Mississippi State here at 6-3, following their 39-33 home win in overtime to Auburn. Bulldogs gain 370 yards in this one, 13 rushing on 18 carries. Defensively, Mississippi State allowed over 5.5 yards per rush to the Tigers with 75 passing yards on 22 attempts. Will Rogers, 71% completion rate, 6.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 357 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. This season, Rogers, a 68% completion rate, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 6.6 yards per attempt. Now, Mississippi State, too one-dimensional as a run game. Past 360 games are generating just 1.8 yards per attempt. In this period, Georgia's offense posting 507 yards, 4.9 yards per attempt, 320 through the air, 9.2 per attempt. The play here will be Georgia minus 16. North Carolina and Wake Forest college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. North Carolina improves to 8-1. It was a 31-28 road win at Virginia. Tar Heels were able to move the football for 455 yards, 162 rushing on 42 attempts. Defensively, they allowed 4.5 yards of carry on the ground to the Cavaliers with 232 passing on 35 attempts. Drake May hit on 70% completion rate, 35 attempts in that one. It's an impressive number by Drake here with those numbers. 2 touchdowns as well. May, 71% completion rate for the season, 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 9.5 yards per pass attempt. Wake Forest fell to 6-3. It was a 30-21 road defeat at NC State. Demon Deacons posted 414 yards, 17 rushing on 27 carries. Defensively, Wake Forest allowed under 3 yards a carry with 210 passing on 28 attempts. Sam Harton, while he had a 60% completion rate, 8.3 yards per attempt, he had 397 passing yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. That is 6 picks in 2 games all on the road. This season, Hartman, 63% completion rate, 8.8 yards per attempt. Past 3 games, Demon Deacons running for only 2.1 yards a carry. Hartman's turnover consumed. The player will be Carolina plus the 4.5. All right, that was our college football pick show here for Friday. We got you 11 of them, 3 for Friday and 8 here for Saturday. So we'll get them all done here by tomorrow. We should have all 64 teams in action and coverage with picks on the board. So make sure you like and subscribe and set notifications. All right, that'll do it for me here on the overnight. We got all the plays in. We'll be back this afternoon with more picks on Game Day Picks.